Alright, the top 3 crypto miner stocks. Sorry about the background noise, I'm at the airport. But let's let's take a look at a couple of fundamentals and then quick look at the market because it's crazy, and then we'll get into the specific crypto miner stocks. So this is the S&P. It's been doing volatile coiling, but let me go into the hour and show you exactly what it is doing. You can't really see it on the daily, but you can see here, if you zoom in on the S&P, that we have formed an entire bear shelf here, and we have rejected out of our support level off of a bear shelf. This is an extremely bearish setup for a big red candle on the S&P, and this may have to do something with the tapering from the Federal Reserve. But I wanted to go and look at Bitcoin for a second, because Bitcoin's still holding around 54. It's just like hanging on this trend line. It's maybe establishing a downtrend, maybe not. It hasn't really made a move. It's just sitting here, right? But the big thing that I was looking at the last couple videos, I made this call before the treasuries broke out to the upside. But I said, like, if this breaks out to the upside, it's going to surprise everybody. And this means interest rates are coming down. And that also means Bitcoin is going to be in big trouble, because Bitcoin has been trading opposite to treasuries for the last year and a half. And it usually follows the treasury move. Like, once you get an established treasury move, Bitcoin aggressively moves the opposite direction. So that is the trade. If you watch the last couple of videos, you'll know that I'm bearish on Bitcoin, and you should also know that I'm hard short on Mara, because with Mara you get several things at the same time right here. The stock market coming down with the Fed tapering situation can bring Mara down. Bitcoin hating the treasury move can crash Mara. It's also a meme stock that has a lot of downside potential, and it's also picked up a downtrend line. Anyway, there's like 4 or 5 reasons like stacked on top of each other that could all happen at the same time. Anyway, this is like my biggest short play at the moment is Mara, and I can show you the bubble here. I'm sure everyone's pretty familiar with this bubble kind of running up with Bitcoin here. But the big deal here is, like, we rarely will come down off of a bull trend line like this. And now we've come down off and we've rejected, and this today is the big move that makes it pretty cemented, because the last time we pulled down here, we did coil under some resistance, but we exploded to the upside. We got back on top of the bull trend line. This time we curled under, and the fundamentals of everything are completely different this time, but this release to the downside, like, this guy's not coming back. Like, this bull trend line is completely blown, and we have a really steep downtrend that runs out to March. So generally on like a downtrend line like this, if you're releasing off a bull trend, you'll get an ABC wave, which is you establish the downtrend, then you blow it, then you'll get the B wave, which overthrows, and then you will consolidate down the trend line. So that's the kind of activity I'm looking for on Mara. It's like a big move down here, then a sort of a false rally, and then we'll see where it is. Yeah, and that's, like right now, like the next 2 weeks, probably a big down move, and then the rest of this pattern will take until probably March to play out or something like that. So anyway, that's Mara. That's like the big like really bubbly leveraged one. There's a couple other Bitcoin miners that are in the same situation probably, but let's look at the charts. So RIOT Blockchain is above a good support level and above a good bubble trend line. Like, this is a pretty bullish looking chart and potentially a bull flag here. So this is a pretty bizarre chart to have in contrast to the Mara chart. So like, this is not a technical chart that I would even consider shorting, but we're getting down moves here the last couple days that are equal or like greater to what Mara's been doing. Anyway, this is a really interesting one to watch. If you think my complete thesis is incorrect, this chart is actually bullish looking. So this is one to watch. And Hut 8 Mining has sort of a similar trend to Mara, and it's picked up a downtrend here and has a good amount of room to fall. But it has strong support below it, and it also has not released off the bull line yet. So these other two mining companies could get in trouble, but they don't have the technical setup of like this Mara trade. And plus, I think there's a little bit more leverage in Mara, because if you come down and look at, I mean, where was it? It was like 60, and now like this support is at like 6 or something. So that's a massive percentage down move. That's like a 90% downward potential or something on this if Bitcoin crashes. So let me go back to Bitcoin and take a look at the Bitcoin chart, because the treasury breakout has already happened and Bitcoin hasn't responded yet, which is interesting. But what I've done here is I've drawn some bear channels that would correspond to a down move if we get one. And it looks like we jumped on top of one, and then we were consolidating down another one. So I don't know, you've probably seen my sort of Bitcoin topping bubble area. And so I would say the bullish case for Bitcoin is to kind of run up over here and sort of get in trouble again, like out in March or something. And a lot of people think it would pop probably over here, and I don't think it has power to do that. I think we're trapped under this thing in the bullish case. But right now, treasuries are breaking out, so I don't think the bullish case is happening. I think we're going to get the rug pulled, and I think that Bitcoin is going to have a target here, right here. This is like, whatever this is, March. It's like 14 or something in March. But I mean, who knows how that would trade down? We've got sort of we got a lot of lines to interact with. If it's really trying to rip, I don't know if it can like just fall straight out. I don't know how hard treasuries are going to rip, but like a sort of medium-sized move in treasuries will result in a pretty big move in Bitcoin. So I think there's a huge threat in Bitcoin. And anyway, that was the idea why I was putting a big short on Mara, is because the treasury breakout, basically. Like we've got like Fed tightening. We got a treasury breakout, which is an absolute flip on the macro fundamentals, which is threatening Bitcoin, and the Fed tightening is threatening the stock market. And you got bubble stocks looking like there's like 30 bubble stock charts. You can go look at my previous video to check that out, but there's like 30 sort of memey, techy, bubbly stocks that are all breaking their bull structures. And so I'm flipping. Yeah, I closed all my longs. This is not investment advice as always, but yeah, I closed all of my long positions. Yeah, all of them. And I'm short a few things. Mara is one of them. And there's some different EV stocks that I'll do in a separate video. That's a whole separate thing, but the whole EV and lithium space is threatening angry downside moves right now. So we'll take a look at that. And then I guess just a recap on some macro. The other thing, besides the Fed tapering that's threatening the stock market right now, is we have a massive run up in margin loans, especially in all these little EV stocks. Like they just get a flood of loaned like venture capital money, and when they come down, like it can get pretty aggressive. So I like to look at the IWM. This is the Russell 2000 to sort of track how much margin loan is going into nonsense, really. Like there's financials in here, but there's a ton of sort of zombie companies that have no profits, and like little tech companies that are super risky and stuff in this index. And when you see these big, run-ups in the IWM, that corresponds totally with margin loan. And we just had a false rejection out of our bull trend here. So I think this IWM bull trend is completely blown, and I think this is a margin call. Like we're getting margin calls. And when you start getting margin calls, you can get major downside moves in the general market, but especially in like dumb companies that have either no products or completely unprofitable products. Like the margin loan situation and the treasury breakout, there's a bunch of macro stuff sort of lining up. I wanted to take a look at the VIX. I haven't checked it in a day and a half. This is absolutely terrifying. The VIX has jumped twice now. The VIX almost never makes a second move up. It almost always reverses all the way back down. Like every VIX spike. Like it's very, very rare to get a second spike, and it's usually lower. This time we got a second spike that's higher, and now we've got a third spike. This is very, very bad. Very, very bad signal for the stock market. Plus you had the stock market running up to a peak while the VIX was also running up. This is a dangerous setup. This is a bunch of dangerous stuff. Let me go look at the momentum on the market and see on the dailies what the market looks like. Yeah, so we're coming into the neutral area and switching into a bearish area down here with a pretty wide divergence here. So we're just now today like trying to push into bearish momentum territory. Also on the RSI, you can see the divergence and the drop in the RSI, but we're not extended. There's plenty of room to move down. And for both of these charts, like if you're expecting like longer bearish moves, you gotta stay on the bottom half and kind of wobble around on the bottom half of these charts, which we're just trying to get down there. We're not in a bear market setup. This is just like a bearish move for right now. So let's see what kind of momentum action we get. But I'm literally expecting like 3 straight days of like angry red candles, and we have the whole weekend, so it could like gap down over the weekend. That's what I see. Not so much in the macro. Like the macro is just not a good setup, but let me go back to the hourly chart and just show you the bear shelf. Like we overthrew the top of our 13-year channel here and failed. And now we did a bear shelf through all of the resistance areas, and we don't have any other support until like 42 down here. Like we can literally just dump like straight down to 42 in like 2 or 3 days. That's entirely possible. There's nothing in between. So that's kind of the look. And I'm short Mara. I don't think it's too late to get into that trade, but I don't like chasing trades. But I did show that trade once or twice already before it happened, so I don't feel like I've like withheld anything for sure. Anyway, that's the setup for today, and it's definitely going to be an interesting trading day today, and really interesting to see what it looks like on Monday. So that's the update on the miners, the crypto miners, and the Bitcoin setup. Yeah, that is a switch on like what I was thinking Bitcoin was going to do over the next like 4 months. Like I just flipped like way bearish on Bitcoin today or 2 days ago. Yeah, alright, so yeah, happy trading and good luck.